The Galactic Concorde met in the great chamber of the central station. The station floated at the edge of the outer rim, a massive structure with glowing spires and thousands of small ships coming and going. It was a place where many species gathered. Tall, insect-like gorels stood next to the smooth-scaled Ormani, while the small but sharp-minded Tolari watched with bright eyes. The chamber was full of quiet conversation, nervous gestures, and flashing lights from different translator devices made everyone turn. "A human ship has entered the expanse," he said. The room fell silent. The expanse was a forbidden region, rich with ancient ruins and dangerous energy storms. No one had dared enter it for hundreds of years. "Only one ship?" asked First Commander Yulra of the Girils. "Yes," Drenak answered, his eyes cold. "Only one, no escort, no fleet, just one warship. It crossed the border an hour ago and is moving deeper." "US send a patrol," said Councillor Bren of the Tolari. "A small group will scare them back." Drenak raised a hand. "No, we must teach them a lesson. They need to understand this space is not theirs. Full combat Force 20 ships, trained and armed for war." "Is that not too much for one ship?" asked a younger diplomat. "No," said Drenak, "because this is not about the ship. This is about sending a message. Humans must learn their place." The vote passed quickly. The Concorde agreed. The humans would see what power truly meant. Far from the central station, the human warship moved through the dark space of the expanse. The Valiant Horizon looked different from Concorde ships. Its design was simple, smooth, and dark. The surface was made of a strange black metal that reflected nothing. It made no sound. It showed no fear. Inside, Captain Luke Morgan sat in the command chair. He was calm. His eyes were fixed on the display. It showed the 20 Concorde ships coming toward them. His face did not change. Beside him stood Commander Alina Brooks. She was younger, full of energy, and very smart. And sighed. 20 ships, she said. "That's not a patrol. That's a full fleet." "Yes," Luke said. "What do they think we are?" she asked. "They think we're weak," Luke replied. "They think we're one ship." "But we are," Alina said. "That's what they see," Luke said, "not what we are." The bridge was quiet. The crew watched their screens. No one panicked. No one moved without orders. "Prepare a message," Luke said. "Send it to the Concorde ships." Alina nodded. The message was simple. "This is Captain Luke Morgan, of the Valiant Horizon. Turn back. You do not want this." The Concorde ships received the message. They laughed again. Some thought it was a joke. Others felt insulted. "Do they really think we will retreat because of a warning?" asked one of the Valari captains. "We crush them," said another. Ambassador Drenak watched from his own ship, the Solar Rain. His ship was the largest. He smiled. "Let the humans see. Let them learn." Back on the Valiant Horizon, Alina watched the enemy ships come closer. She looked at Luke. "They're not slowing down," she said. "They won't," he said. "So what do we do?" she asked. "We show them why humanity only sent one ship," he said. In the silence of space, lights blinked, weapons powered up, shields began to hum. The Valiant Horizon turned slowly to face the fleet. It was still just one ship, but it was ready and far above. In the command halls of the Concorde, someone whispered the words, now spreading across all channels. "Only one ship? Wait, ... Why did the humans only send one?" The stars did not blink in the expanse. The space here was too still, too quiet. No natural light passed through this part of the galaxy without being swallowed by ancient dust or twisted by silent storms. It was a graveyard of forgotten empires. It was not a place where anyone expected to meet something new. But there, floating like a shadow across the endless dark, was the Valiant Horizon. Inside the ship, the bridge was calm. Behind his back, his eyes watched the approach of 20 Concorde ships. Each one was bigger than the last, marked by glowing lines and tall banners of alien design. Alina Brooks walked up behind him, holding a small datapad. Said without looking, Alina frowned. "I don't understand why we're doing this," she said, her voice quiet but firm. "Why are we standing alone out here?" "You know what they'll do?" Luke turned to her, his expression unreadable. "They're here to test us, to measure us. If we give them the full answer now, they'll never learn. But they outnumber us," she said. "That's what they believe matters," he said. But this ship wasn't built to count ships. It was built to end wars before they start. The screen showed the Concorde fleet lining up in a spear formation. It was a standard tactic for overwhelming smaller targets, but it didn't scare Luke, not now. And clear. Alina sighed, but obeyed. She tapped the panel and sent a second transmission. This is your final warning. On the lead ship of the Concorde fleet, the Solar Reign Ambassador Drenak stood tall on the command platform. He held a long staff shaped like a twisted star, the symbol of Valari pride. Human transmission received, one officer said, not hiding. The laughter in his voice. Play it, Drenak said. The message came through. Calm, cold, confident. This is your final warning. Turn back. Drenak's mouth curled in amusement. He looked at his captains, each appearing on separate holopanels around the chamber. Do they not realize who we are? Asked one. They think we can be scared off by words, said another. Let them speak, Drenak said. Their voice will be the last thing they offer. He waved his hand. The fleet advanced back on the Valiant horizon. The crew had gone silent. Every station was alert. No one asked questions now. Begin. The startup of Protocol 9. The crew didn't react visibly, but a few eyes widened slightly. Protocol 9 was never meant to be used, not in real combat. It was just theory, a whisper from R&D labs hidden deep beneath Earth's oceans. Other ships didn't. Are you sure? Elena asked, her voice nearly a whisper. Luke gave a slow nod. Run. It just turned slowly to face the approaching wall of Concorde power. On board the Concorde ships, some commanders grew uneasy. Captain, they're just pretending, replied a Valari officer, a last bluff before death. Still, said the Gorel, I recommend scanning again. Look for hidden ships, mines, traps, anything. Waste of time, said Drenak. The trap is they came here alone, but with pressure, invisible force spread out like waves in a still lake. The Concorde scanners started blinking. One last message, one last voice across the dark. Warned, the Valiant horizon activated its core. Protocol 9 began, and the expanse was no longer silent. The first shot was never seen. Not a beam, not a flash. No thunder of impact, just silence and then confusion. One of the Concorde ships, a mid-sized cruiser named Varella's Honor, lost control of its engines. The ship began to spin, not from damage, but from something deeper. Internal systems shut down. Navigation, weapons, even gravity. The fleet hesitated. That wasn't how human weapons were supposed to work. There were no marks, no explosions, just ... quiet failure. From the bridge of the Valiant horizon, Captain Luke Morgan watched calmly. His fingers rested near the edge of the console, not touching it. Tag the next one, he said. A second Concorde ship drifted off course, its lights dimmed. Inside, the crew floated helplessly as systems flickered out like dying stars. Still, no fire, no debris, just ships being turned off. What is this? Alina Brooks asked, staring at the screen. EMP, quantum disruptors. Neither, Luke replied. It's us. Being polite, the Concorde fleet was now split between confusion and anger. On board the Solar Reign, Ambassador Drenak stood frozen, watching 3 more ships lose control. None had been destroyed. All had been disabled. They're mocking us, he said through clenched teeth. Where are the blasts? Where is their attack? The Valari captain beside him whispered, maybe this is their attack. Back on the Valiant horizon, the lights dimmed slightly. AI, known only as Iris, spoke for the first time. Captain, 6 vessels within optimal range. Shall I escalate? Not yet, Luke said. Let them understand the difference between fear and respect. In the void, the Concorde ships tried new tactics. One ship fired a missile, another launched drones. They all vanished disassembled mid-flight, as if space itself swallowed them. They're using field distortion, Alina muttered, eyes wide. No ... It's more than that. They're folding space around threats before impact, like it never happened. That tech doesn't exist. It does, Luke said. Now, the crew didn't cheer. They didn't smirk. They only worked. Fast, precise, calm. A Concorde destroyer tried to retreat. It never got far. The engines reversed suddenly, and the ship spun back toward the center of the fleet. Not by damage, but by control. The Valiant Horizon wasn't just defending it, was puppeteering. Finally, Drenak had enough. He activated a full fleet-wide fire command, everything, all weapons. Burn them out of the stars. The Concorde ships obeyed. Beams, torpedoes, plasma bursts all launched at once, and then nothing hit. Every weapon passed through where the Valiant Horizon had been. "Where are they?" someone shouted. The human ship had moved, but not by engines, not by warp. It had shifted sideways through space. 1 second here, the next, elsewhere. Back on the Valiant Horizon, Luke watched the readouts. They still think in straight lines. He said, "Captain," Iris said, "shall I complete Protocol 9? "Just the echo," he answered. Outside, a wave of soft white lights spread in a circle from the human ship. No heat, no sound, but every Concorde ship froze. Systems paused. The stars outside shimmered. And for a single second, all 20 Concorde captains heard the same message, not through speakers, but directly in their minds. "We came in peace. You came in force. This is mercy." The wave vanished. 9 Concorde ships remained dead in space. 9 others had begun to retreat. 2 had disappeared entirely, no trace, no signal. Drenak's ship, the Solar Rain, was untouched. Not by luck, by choice. "Pull us out!" he barked, face pale, retreating. One captain asked. "No," Drenak said, voice shaking. "We're surviving," as the Concorde fleet limped away. The Valiant Horizon held position. No chase, no speech, just silence. Watching back on the bridge, Luke sat down slowly. "Let's report home," he said. "They'll want to know that first contact was successful." Alina stared at him. "You call that a success?" He looked back. "We didn't kill anyone, that's more than most can say, far across the galaxy." On every channel, one question was already spreading like fire. "Only one ship? Wait, ... Why did the humans only send one?" Part 4, Battle of Expanse. The wreckage never came. After the Concorde fled, the Expanse remained empty. No smoke, no drifting metal, just stars, quiet again, and the single shadow of the Valiant Horizon, still holding position like a monument carved into space. But the battle was not over. In every Concorde system, the news spread in whispers. Some denied it, others called it a trick. But for the ones who returned the captains with shaking hands and quiet voices, there was no denial. 9 ships gone. Without a single explosion, in the war room, aboard the Concorde's strategic command vessel. Glory of Unity. Arguments erupted. It was a trap. It was a weapon test. They used dark science. Ambassador Drenak entered late. His long coat dragged behind him. His face looked older, drained. He said nothing at first, only listened as the other leaders argued. Avral. General slammed his clawed hand on the table. "We must respond with strength. Deploy a full armada, 10 times the number. We'll crush their arrogance." Drenak finally spoke. His voice was low. "You misunderstand. It wasn't arrogance. It was warning." "One ship does not warn a fleet," snapped another. "No," Drenak said. "One ship teaches us something else, that they do not fight like we do." Silence followed. Still, pride was stronger than fear. The Concorde voted. A fleet would be gathered. Not 20 ships, not even 50. 200 warships, the largest show of power in a generation. The orders were given. Across the galaxy, engines lit up like falling stars. Back aboard the Valiant Horizon, Luke stood on the outer walkway near the observation bay. Stars hung around him like scattered glass. He watched without expression. Alina joined him quietly. "They're coming, bigger this time, way bigger," he nodded. "I expected that, so do we fall back?" "No," he said, turning to her. "We let them come, and we let them see." She hesitated. "You mean reveal everything?" Luke didn't smile, just enough. Down in the ship's engine core, the heart of Protocol 9 pulsed. It was not a machine in the traditional sense. It did not spin or burn. It folded, it listened, and now it prepared. When the Concorde fleet arrived at the edge of the Expanse days later, the sky bloomed with light. Ships of every shape and size, glowing in all colors, filled the void. But the Valiant Horizon was still alone. "Scan again," Drenak ordered. He now sat on the command bridge of the Glory of Unity, leading this armada himself. No hidden fleet detected, the tech officer said. Just one ship, added another. Drenok stared at the screen. Why still only one? On the human ship, Luke stood on the bridge again. His crew was ready. His fingers tapped gently on the armrest. They've brought their finest, Alina said. Then they'll witness our truth, he replied. The Concorde opened fire. Without warning, no speeches, no countdown. Beams of light crossed the expanse. Hundreds of them, missiles, shockwaves, war chants. Across open channels, the valiant horizon moved, but not like ships were meant to move. It split, then reformed. It shimmered in and out of phase with space itself. It vanished, then echoed in 4 places at once. Weapons passed through where it should have been. Some even turned, following predictive AI. But it didn't matter. The ship was not dodging. It was not there. From the Concorde's view, the human ship became a ghost. Then, a mirror. Then, a dozen reflections all returning fire at once. But the shots weren't deadly. Systems shut down. Engines froze. Targeting arrays looped endlessly. The valiant horizon was not destroying ships, it was teaching them power. Had changed. Dr. Enak watched in horror. 40 ships disabled in the first minute, then 70. The fleet tried to retreat, but space bent around them. They weren't locked in by force. They were held by a ship that understood space better than gravity itself. Then the voices came again. Not from radios, from within every ship, every captain's mind. We do not seek war. You brought it. We offer you sight. Now, choose the valiant. Horizon stopped firing. It hovered, still and silent, waiting. And across 200 Concorde ships, fear finally gave way to realization. This wasn't a battle, it was a demonstration, and humanity had made its point. The return of the Concorde fleet was not greeted with honor. When the Armada limped back through the border gates, there were no cheers, no welcoming speeches. Instead, cold silence and distant stares. Every ship that returned was scanned, every log examined. Concorde Prime didn't celebrate survivors, it studied them. Many ships hadn't returned at all. The worst part wasn't what had been lost, but what hadn't been understood. In the high tower of the Valari Diplomatic Hall, Ambassador Drenok stood before the circle of judgment. His voice trembled not with fear, but confusion. They did not fire on us, he said again for the 5th time, but ships were disabled. Counselor Herhan pressed, yes, without damage, without fire. Our fleet was taken apart by presence. Presence? It is now, Drenok whispered. The room shifted uncomfortably. Many of them had seen the recordings. Ships shutting down, space folding in strange patterns, voices in their heads. They let us leave, Drenok continued, his voice lower now. They could have ended us. All of us. But they didn't. They chose not to. Are you saying we should be grateful? Another counselor barked. I'm saying we should be careful on a separate world, far from Valari halls. A young Geril officer gave his debrief. His antennae trembled as he recalled what he'd seen. They spoke into my thoughts. Translator? No sound. They didn't threaten. They asked why we were afraid. Elsewhere, a Tolari technician who'd survived the encounter recorded a single line in her report. The silence of that ship was louder than any battle I've seen. The debriefings flooded in. Reports from every species. Some tried to frame the event as tactical failure. Others admitted they no longer understood the rules of warfare. But a single phrase began to spread, first whispered, then printed, then broadcast across Concorde space. Only one ship. Why did the humans only send one? It became a question on every screen. Scholars debated it. Children repeated it in school. Poets turned it into verses. Soldiers used it as a quiet warning. Back on Earth, Admiral Sophie Clark stood at the heart of the Council of Nations in Geneva. Holograms of every nation's flag shimmered behind her. Leaders watched her silently. You've seen the footage, she said. You've read the reports. No one replied. They thought one ship was weakness, she continued, but it was a door, a mirror, a warning. And now, asked a representative from Brazil, what do we do now? Now? Sophie said. We listen. Because soon they'll come asking. Not with weapons, with questions. And we must decide what we want to be. The room sat in heavy quiet. Then the representative from New Zealand spoke, soft but clear. Do they know the Concorde, I mean? Do they know we had more? No, Sophie said. Only what we let them see. Only what we needed them to believe. The projection changed. It showed the 13 ships, each hidden behind planets, moons, fields of solar mist. Watching, waiting, and Sophie said, more to herself than the room, they still think we sent just one. The phrase echoed again, not in fear, but with quiet power, only one ship. Why did the humans only send one? There were places on Earth where even satellites stayed blind. One of them lay beneath the Antarctic ice, hidden not by snow, but by decision. It had no name, just a door. And behind its secrets, wrapped in silence, Admiral Sophie Clark stood before a window that wasn't a window. It showed space, not sky. A direct feed from one of the cloaked stations orbiting Neptune. There, drifting like a dream, was the valiant horizon, still in the expanse, waiting. It held, said a voice behind her, Dr. Nina Rhodes, chief engineer of the Deep Projects Division, stepped forward with a tablet in hand. The horizon performed as we hoped. Maybe better. Not maybe, Sophie replied. Definitely. Nina tapped. A sequence, and 12 ghostly shapes appeared on the projection. Faint outlines, motionless. The other ships, Sophie said, still cloaked, still in position. No scans have caught them. And the Concorde, they're too busy trying to explain what happened. They still think the horizon is our only card, Sophie nodded. Then the deception holds. Somewhere on the moon, inside Command Station Vega, a training session ran in silence. Young officers sat before glowing screens, studying Concorde tactics. The instructor, a quiet woman named Marlowe, walked among them, pointing out each flaw the enemy had revealed. They rely on intimidation, she said, fleet size over strategy. They measure power by mass, not method. That's why the horizon confused them. A hand raised. Ma'am, why didn't we attack them directly? Why not show all the ships? Marla smiled faintly, because if someone punches you and you don't fall, they ask why. But if you dodge the punch and they still fall, you become something they can't explain. In orbit around Jupiter, inside the hangar of Spectre 9-1, of the hidden ship's lieutenant, Harris walked along the edge of a massive cannon, unlike any weapon ever seen in open war. We call it the Whisper, said Chief Lin, standing beside the weapon. Why? Because it doesn't shout, Lin said, tapping the metal. It ends things quietly. Back on Earth, the council gathered again. A new voice joined the table director. Alan Royce, commander of the Covert Navigation Corps. The Concorde is disoriented, Royce said. Their fleets have scattered. Border worlds are silent. Traffic through neutral systems is slowing. They're scared to move. And they still don't know about the others. A diplomat asked. No, Royce replied. The horizon's presence keeps their attention. The others remain as shadows. That's how we designed it. Sophie folded her hands. Then it's time to talk about next steps. Contact. Someone asked. Maybe, she said, but not through words. Not yet. We let them speak first, and when they do, we decide whether we answer with truth, silence, ... or something else. In the expanse, Captain Luke Morgan stood in the observation bay of the valiant horizon. The stars stretched before him like ancient eyes. Elena joined him, arms crossed. Still quiet out there, she said. Quiet is good, Luke replied. Do you think they'll come back? Yes, he said, but not like before. This time, they'll bring questions instead of guns. She watched him a moment. Do we answer? Luke didn't respond. He only stared at the stars. And then, after a moment, he whispered, They still think we sent one, far away, across unknown systems. The question still echoed, carried on signals, rumors, and broken transmissions. Only one ship. The humans only send one. Concorde Prime had never seen a sky like this. Its towers stretched high into the clouds, built by 1,000 worlds over 1,000 years. Streets glowed with floating banners. Ships passed between skyscrapers like fish in a slow, glittering stream. It was a world meant to show power unity through scale. But then the stars began to go dark. One by one, lights in the sky dimmed. Not by storm, not by failure, but by presence. Shadows blocking starlight, too precise to be natural. The people looked up and did not understand. In the Grand Control Tower, alarms whispered to life. Soft tones at first cautious, uncertain, unidentified, objects entering upper orbit, sector by sector, a technician said. His voice dry, Admiral Sarek, one of the last remaining Concord military leaders, untouched by the Expanse incident, stepped forward. "Define unidentified," she ordered. The tech swallowed. No IDs, no codes, but the shape, ... the outline, matches the one from the Expanse. Sarek's eyes narrowed. "You're telling me the humans are here?" 12, the tech whispered. 12 of them. Within an hour, panic began to ripple across Concord Prime. Civilians rushed to shelters. News broadcasts were hijacked by shaky camera feeds. A single word kept repeating. Horizon. And yet no attack came. The 12 ships remained motionless, perfectly spaced, perfectly silent. No comes, no threats, just presence. In the council hall, the emergency session was chaos. Delegates argued, shouted, pleaded. They're here to end us. Why aren't they firing? Why now? Why all 12? And then the room went dark. Not from power loss, from choice. A single image appeared in the center of the chamber. A symbol, simple, unmistakable, Earth. Then a voice, clear but calm, spoke in 100 languages at once. "This is your final chance to coexist, nothing more." The message repeated once, then vanished. In orbit, the 12 ships moved for the first time. Not closer, not farther, just rotating slowly, revealing different angles, like statues turning to watch a crowd. Back on the surface, children pointed. Artists painted, soldiers held their breath. Admiral Sarek stood in the war chamber, her hands shaking. Why didn't they just strike? No one answered, because the answer was simple. The humans weren't here to conquer. They were here to be seen in the night sky of Concord Prime. 12 dark ships drifted in silence. And across 1,000 systems, the question burned hotter than ever. Only one ship. Why did the humans only send one?